Hi, I'm Leroy. Welcome to your favorite channel, Final Scene Story. This time, I'm continuing the summary of the Japanese drama titled The Queen's Classroom, Episode 6. In this episode, Mrs. Maya cancels the long summer break and replaces it with an intensive study program. Whoever gets good grades, Mrs. Maya doesn't hesitate to give an early elementary school diploma. So, what does the full story look like? That's why watch this video until the end and of course, enjoy watching. Continuing from episode 5, right after Mrs. Maya cancels summer vacation, Mrs. Maya immediately explains the rules. So every student has to wear something like badge holder around the neck, and Mrs. Maya gives a red sticker each time that student successfully completes an assignment. Then the number of red stickers is combined with the group mates. The group that collects the fewest red stickers is punished by Mrs. Maya with extra tasks. And the ringleader of that group is punished by having to sit on top of the desk until school is over. Then Takako asks what prize is given to the student with the highest number of stickers. Mrs. Maya says that student is given an elementary school diploma right away, so the student doesn't have to attend school anymore until graduation day. Mrs. Maya mocks Yusuke for foolishly returning this diploma, while from now on all the smart students are racing to get it. In fact, if they already have the diploma, they can focus on preparing for private junior high school or even stay up late because they are no longer required to attend school. After Mrs. Maya explains everything, Kazumi objects to Mrs. Maya, saying that a vacation should remain a vacation filled with fun. Hearing their instigation, Mrs. Maya allows Kazumi and Yusuke to just take a vacation without attending class. Then Mrs. Maya reminds the others that many kids out there sacrifice their vacation to prepare for elite private junior high schools. Hearing that, Koichi, the diligent student, says he is willing to attend school during summer vacation. Not only Koichi, the other classmates also say they are willing to join Mrs. Maya's class and give up their summer vacation. Of course, Kazumi is stunned because Kazumi doesn't expect this to happen. The next day in the teacher's room, the principal doesn't object to Mrs. Maya keeping classes during summer vacation. Then Mr. Namiki asks Mrs. Tendo why Mrs. Tendo doesn't oppose Mrs. Maya's idea this time, even though usually Mrs. Tendo is the first teacher to oppose Mrs. Maya. Mrs. Tendo says she is being criticized by one of the parents for interfering too much in a student's personal matters. Then, without any pride, Mrs. Tendo asks Mrs. Maya for advice to solve this problem. In short, Mrs. Maya tells Mrs. Tendo to think of the solution herself. After leaving the teacher's room, Mrs. Maya heads to laboratory to meet the parents whom Mrs. Maya has invited. The parents ask why Mrs. Maya cancels summer vacation and replaces it with studying. Mrs. Maya says their children are growing academically, so it doesn't seem proper if Mrs. Maya halts their growth because of a long summer break. Moreover, the children's growth will be even faster if they are often together with their classmates. Kazumi, who is spying, clearly doesn't accept what Mrs. Maya has said because in reality, class 6-3 is not united at all, let alone enjoying Mrs. Maya's class. However, the parents look pleased, charmed by Mrs. Maya's sweet words. In the late afternoon after school, Yusuke cannot believe Mrs. Maya tricks the parents so this vacation time class can take place. Yusuke then invites Kazumi to skip and just have fun. After all, Mrs. Maya has already allowed them. But Kazumi flatly refuses. Instead, Kazumi wants to use this opportunity to get closer to classmates. Yusuke forbids it, afraid Kazumi is picked on again by others. But Kazumi isn't worried at all because Yusuke surely keeps Kazumi company. Hearing that, Yusuke blushes because Kazumi starts to consider Yusuke important in her life. Elsewhere at school, Mrs. Tendo, about to go home, is seen taking a call from a boyfriend. Mrs. Tendo and the boyfriend plan to meet, but suddenly Mrs. Maya appears nearby. Of course, since it's awkward to be heard by Mrs. Maya, Mrs. Tendo slips away. Mrs. Maya asks whether the problem with the student's parent is solved. According to Mrs. Maya, Mrs. Tendo shouldn't go on a date while the school problem isn't resolved. If Mrs. Tendo keeps this up, Mrs. Tendo had better stop being a teacher. The next day, the summer vacation class begins with a written test. As usual, Hikaru finishes first and gets a red sticker because the score is good. Then in PE class, Yusuke stands out the most among all students, so Yusuke deserves a red sticker from Mrs. Maya. Kazumi looks annoyed at Yusuke because Yusuke shouldn't be collecting red stickers like the others. Then, before going home, Mrs. Maya announces which groups have high scores and which have low. Of course, Group 6 has the low score with Kazumi and Yusuke as the culprits. As a result, Yusuke and Kazumi are punished by sitting on top of the desks until school is over. Even though Hisako and Hikaru aren't the culprits, Hisako and Hikaru still have to serve the group punishment cleaning the classroom after school. Hearing that, Hisako protests and wants to move to another group. According to Hisako, no matter how hard Hisako tries, Hisako is always punished because Hisako is in the same group as Yusuke and Kazumi. Mrs. Maya says Hisako has no right to ask that because Hisako's points are terrible, only better than Kazumi and Yusuke, who indeed oppose Mrs. Maya's program. Mari and Mari's gang seem to mock Hisako, who doesn't know limits. Then, because Hisako is considered to be wasting time with a foolish protest, Mrs. Maya removes one red sticker point from Hisako's badge holder. After school, Yusuke and Kazumi say goodbye to classmates while enduring intense pins and needles in legs. But of course, no one responds. Then, while enduring the tingling, Kazumi begs Hikaru to help with a mission. Hikaru refuses and tells Kazumi to give in to Mrs. Maya, because students aiming for private junior high school prefer to obey Mrs. Maya rather than have fun. Kazumi asks why Hikaru still joins the class too even though Hikaru isn't interested in private junior high school. Hikaru says she doesn't want to be at home because Hikaru hates home. While they are chatting, suddenly Hisako cuts in and accuses them of talking badly about Hisako. Kazumi explains that Kazumi wants all class 6-3 students to enjoy summer vacation even though Mrs. Maya requires attendance. Since tomorrow is Sunday, Kazumi invites friends to go on a trip starting with group 6, but unfortunately, Hikaru and Hisako flatly refuse. The next day, Yusuke and Kazumi wait for Hisako and Hikaru at the station even though yesterday Hisako and Hikaru firmly refused the invitation. Then Kazumi takes Yusuke to Hikaru's home, remembering Hikaru says she hates home. And without Yusuke and Kazumi knowing, Hisako quietly follows them from behind. Long story short, Kazumi and Yusuke arrive at Hikaru's apartment. They are welcomed by Hikaru's mother, who is busy with work while Hikaru is out buying books. Hikaru's mother looks happy to see them because it has been so long since Hikaru is visited by school friends. Meanwhile, Hikaru returns from the store. Then, as soon as Hikaru enters, Hikaru questions Yusuke and Kazumi's presence. Of course, Hikaru's mother scolds Hikaru because asking the reason for a visit is impolite. Hikaru immediately forbids the mother from talking to Hikaru. So the relationship between Hikaru and the mother is rather strained. Then Kazumi and Yusuke are allowed into Hikaru's room out of respect for guests. In the room, Kazumi finds a photo of Hikaru smiling freely with a friend and Kazumi praises how cute they look. Hikaru gets angry and snatches the photo from Kazumi's hand. Not only angry because Kazumi meddles too much, Hikaru even throws Kazumi and Yusuke out of the apartment. Just after they step out, Kazumi and Yusuke suddenly notice Mrs. Maya behind them. Instead of being afraid and pretending not to see, Kazumi boldly approaches Mrs. Maya. Mrs. Maya makes Kazumi realize that Kazumi's effort is in vain because nowadays people think more about themselves. Kazumi is even accused of being a nuisance barging into other people's lives. Mrs. Maya emphasizes that no one wants to be Kazumi's friend except that odd person named Yusuke. After Mrs. Maya leaves, Kazumi becomes gloomy and starts to believe she doesn't deserve to have friends. Hisako, who has been spying, finally goes home as well. At night, Kazumi asks Yukanda whether visiting a friend's house when not really knowing the friend yet is annoying. Of course, Yukanda answers that it's very annoying. If Kazumi truly wants to get close to others, Yukanda suggests Kazumi first learn about that person. Hearing that advice, an idea crosses Kazumi's mind about how to get close to classmates. Kazumi prepares colorful paper, then writes classmates' names one by one. It turns out Kazumi writes letters to all classmates containing light questions, and Kazumi stays up all night. The next morning, Kazumi leaves full of spirit holding the letters for classmates. When Kazumi arrives at school, Kazumi places the letters on their desks according to the honors, because Kazumi asks specific questions to each friend. Then, just as Hikaru arrives, Kazumi gives the letter to Hikaru. But of course, Hikaru refuses it, saying Kazumi is just wasting time. If that's the case, Kazumi slips the letter into Hikaru's drawer and also into Hisako's drawer. Then Hisako scolds Hikaru for reading instead of helping tidy up the classroom. Hisako forces Hikaru to work because Hisako is the leader of Group 6. Hearing Hisako's arrogance, Hikaru immediately says that Hisako is Mrs. Maya bootlicker since Hisako's grades are failing in almost every subject. Hikaru even believes no one wants to be Hisako's friend. Hearing such sharp words, Hisako cries and leaves the classroom. While Hisako is calming down, Kazumi, who used to be close to Hisako, shows her Hisako's drawing. It turns out Hisako often draws Hikaru secretly because Hisako admires how smart Hikaru is. Hisako really wants to be Hikaru's friend, but Hisako feels inferior about shortcomings, especially compared to Hikaru. Coldly, Hikaru says she doesn't need fans at all. Then Hikaru leaves the classroom too to calm a troubled heart. Mrs. Maya suddenly appears and tells Kazumi to tidy up her desk because class is about to start. Instead of obeying, Kazumi asks what happens to Hikaru to make her so cold. Mrs. Maya opens the story that Hikaru used to be very cheerful and sociable. But in 3rd grade, Hikaru suddenly changed after Hikaru's mother divorced Hikaru's father because the father is laid off. As a result, Hikaru is separated from the father even though Hikaru loves the father very much. Since then, Hikaru starts to somewhat resent the mother. However, thanks to a close friend, Hikaru once manages to regain cheerfulness. Hikaru can forget sadness at home every time Hikaru is with the friend. But because the friendship makes Hikaru studyless, Hikaru's mother asks the friend never to come to the home again. And even worse, the next day, the friend dies in a car accident. Because of that, Hikaru thinks it's the mother who causes the friend's death, and Hikaru refuses to talk to the mother ever since. Hikaru even rejects making friends with anyone and locks herself in the world of books she always reads. Mrs. Maya emphasizes that Hikaru is a weak person who refuses friendship because Hikaru is afraid of suddenly being left again as once experienced. Hearing this, the sudden Kazumi hurriedly looks for Hikaru outside the classroom. Hikaru finally opens Kazumi's letter too, which contains a warm greeting of introduction and light questions, like what Hikaru's favorite food is, what Hikaru wants to be when Hikaru grows up, and which book titled might be good for slow reading Kazumi. While Hikaru is reading the letter, Kazumi comes and promises Kazumi will never leave Hikaru. Kazumi has already considered Hikaru a friend ever since Hikaru helps Kazumi when Kazumi is desperate to pee even though a daily test by Mrs. Maya is underway. Kazumi says Kazumi is happy because Hikaru never exposes Kazumi's accident at school. Even though Kazumi declares Hikaru a friend, Hikaru still refuses by brushing Kazumi's hand off the shoulder. Realizing Kazumi isn't considered a friend, Kazumi cries and leaves for class, and so does Hisako. Meanwhile, in class 6-3, all the students begin opening and reading Kazumi's letters, which contain light questions. Most of them mock Kazumi for bothering to write such childish things. Others mock Kazumi for being overly cheery and overly friendly by asking personal questions. Of course, the saddened Kazumi becomes embarrassed hearing their responses, which makes Kazumi cry even more. Erika, the best friend, even tears up Kazumi's letter, prompting others to tear theirs as well. Seeing this, Yusuke, who cannot accept it, starts pushing Hajime, leading to a fight between Yusuke and Hajime on top of the desk. Of course, Kazumi tries to break it up, but unfortunately, Kazumi gets an elbow from Hajime, sending Kazumi flying out the window and breaking the glass. Even worse, Kazumi's leg accidentally hits an upward pointing shot. Of course, Hikaru, seeing that, screams hysterically, bringing Mrs. Maya rushing in. Realizing a student is hurt, Mrs. Maya quickly goes to Kazumi to give first aid. Mrs. Maya carries Kazumi to the infirmary while Hisako sees with her own eyes how the blood pours from Kazumi's leg. While Kazumi is being treated by Mrs. Maya, Yusuke tells the class that Kazumi once calls Yusuke a coward to make Yusuke return to school. Kazumi says that the reason we are in the same class must be fate. Therefore, we should all be friends with one another and exchange beautiful memories before truly graduating from this school. Yusuke reminds them not to forget to be friends and have fun just because Mrs. Maya makes everyone disciplined. Then Yusuke goes into the classroom to pick up the scraps of Kazumi's letters that are torn up. Soon Hikaru goes into the classroom as well to pick up the torn pieces. Seeing that, the students of class 6-3 feel guilty for having gone too far with Kazumi. Meanwhile, Hisako reads Kazumi's letter to her, and it turns out Kazumi knows today is Hisako's birthday and really wants to celebrate together. Especially for Hisako, who is good at drawing, Kazumi also draws a simple sketch about the friendship between Kazumi and Hisako. Without realizing it, Hisako sheds tears, especially since lately Hisako often treats Kazumi badly. Meanwhile, after being treated, Kazumi is told to go home, but Kazumi refuses and still wants to go to class. Then, classmates suddenly turn their eyes to Kazumi, who is limping toward class 6-3. classmates look at Kazumi while getting Kazumi go in first, but because Mrs. Maya arrives, the students quickly go into the classroom. Just after entering, Mrs. Maya blames Yusuke and Kazumi for fooling around with broken glass because that is very dangerous. As a result, Mrs. Maya punishes the two to clean up the broken glass. Just as Kazumi is about to clean it up, suddenly Hikaru volunteers to skip class today to help Kazumi clean the glass. Hikaru says she is no longer afraid to make friends after Kazumi says earlier that Kazumi will always be Hikaru's friend. Hearing that, Mrs. Maya reminds Hikaru that what Kazumi says is mere sweet talk. Kazumi surely cannot help Hikaru when Hikaru gets into trouble later. Then Hisako stands up too and wants to help Kazumi. Hisako says Hisako will always be Kazumi's friend because Kazumi is the first person to send Hisako a friendship letter. And surprisingly, Hajime also wants to help Kazumi, followed by several other students. Even Mari, who once picks on Kazumi, invites others like Erika to help Kazumi. Seeing all students united in skipping class like this, Mrs. Maya wants to talk with everyone one by one. The first student Mrs. Maya wants to talk to is Erika. Long story short, Mrs. Maya takes Erika to an empty room as the first student to be spoken to. Mrs. Maya asks Erika to be an informant who always reports if there is any information about plans for defiance from class 6-3. Of course, Erika refuses because that would mean betraying classmates. Then Mrs. Maya threatens to reveal to class 6-3 that it's actually Erika who steals Mari's wallet that time. Of course, Erika is shocked, so like it or not, Erika becomes Mrs. Maya's informant. And that's the end of the summary for episode 6. What do you think about episode 6? Please let me know in the comment section, I will read them later. Thank you for watching this video until the end and see you in the next video. Bye bye!